got that news as we bring in Anna Schecter, senior coordinating producer for our Crime and Public Safety Unit. 5 shot. We do not know what condition that they are in. Also sounds like, Anna, they've got that shooter apprehended. But one of my questions I have of many for you is these bases are not easy to get into.
Well, that's right. And, you know, we've seen these kinds of shootings at bases before. In fact, just 7 months ago at another Georgia base. So this is not unheard of. The number 5 soldiers shot. In fact, the Army base put that out. 5 soldiers were shot. So, you know, historically, the perpetrator has been generally somebody who was there, based there. This reminds me of the Fort Hood shooting in 2009, where we also had a high casualty count, even higher than the initial reports coming in here. But we learned today also the suspect was apprehended just a little over an hour ago at 11:35 a.m. So that lockdown doesn't lift until law enforcement has cleared the area. They want to make sure, one, that there was nobody else, no other accomplice, no other active shooter, no bomb threat. We saw earlier, you know, the ATF was responding, the FBI aware, Georgia State Police assisting, but the base has its own law enforcement apparatus and criminal investigative body that they will be the lead here, and that's what's going on right now. The suspect was apprehended, unclear in what condition, but they'll be starting to question the suspect. Of course, the investigative process has already kicked in and is underway right now as we're talking, Reed.
Well, and from that Army statement, it sounds like this all happened in the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. That team, highly specialized, highly trained, so no doubt in addition to training for combat, they also are likely highly trained to respond to situations like this, and that training came into play today.
That's exactly right, and medical personnel were dispatched immediately. The 5 soldiers that were shot were treated on scene before being transported to a local hospital. So hopefully all of them are going to be okay. We are still awaiting more news on the condition of those 5 soldiers who were shot today.
And it's also striking to me that before I got in the news business and started to know more about our armed forces and these Army bases and other military bases, that people may not know that thousands of people live on these bases. They live there with their husbands, their wives, their partners, their children go to school on the base. So you can understand why there was such a huge lockdown. People told to lock their doors, to shut their doors, to not go anywhere, because literally there are families there.
That's exactly right. And those schools were on lockdown. So you can imagine all those children in school, probably, you know, they're aware of some situation where they can't leave their classrooms, they can't leave the building. So that is a massive disruption and a very scary situation, particularly when there wasn't a lot of information initially about where the suspect was. And there was some confusion, of course, in the chaos. Was there only one suspect? Could there have been a second? So really chaotic scene, but it sounds like law enforcement acted very quickly. The situation appeared to begin at 11:04 a.m. and by 11:35 a.m. the suspect was apprehended. So, you know, that's a relatively, you know, it's not more than an hour, but still for those 25, 30 minutes, that's a very scary half hour to deal with.
The longest of their lives. Anna, we likely will come back to you throughout this hour. We appreciate that insight into what's happening. We have an opportunity, kind of speaking to that quick response. We know the FBI is on scene right now. So joining us live on CBS News 24/7, former FBI official Tim Gallagher. Okay, so we know that the shooter's apprehended. We know that 5 people are in various states of injury on their way to the hospital there. What does the FBI do now?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, Reed. Yeah, the FBI is going lights and sirens, obviously, to the Fort Stewart to assist military police and Army Criminal Investigative Command. The immediate task right now is nail down that there wasn't a second shooter. Right, be able to clear the base to give the all clear, let people out, and that's not going to be easy because there's just so many people there. It's a military base. And there's going to, not only was there a bad guy with a gun today, but there's good guys with guns there as well. So there's going to be reports of individuals. I went through this, the Washington Navy Yard shooting. Well, I saw someone else with a gun. You need to pull the video, run that to ground, and make sure that it was someone we can identify as being a first responder or someone military personnel. As far as what the FBI is doing, the suspect's in custody, right? So they drilling down on who this individual is, what his motivations may be. Was this a criminal act? Was it personally motivated, or is this an act of terrorism, right? And the FBI is going to treat this like an act of terrorism, and that they can prove that it is not. And so that's what is going on right now, as far as the FBI and working with their partners on the base there.
I want to get your thoughts. It goes without saying you can't just walk on to a U.S. military base of any kind anywhere in the world without some sort of clearance. Does it strike you that this happens sometimes in our country on bases that are secure?
Unfortunately, it does not, right? So it's a secure facility. However, people come and go every day. They have bags, they have badges that get them in. They may not be subject to badge checks. And there's the insider threat. Approximately 1/3 of active shooter incidents involve someone who has a relationship with either the company, the school, the facility. So it could be someone who had lawful access to that facility, maybe had lawful access to a firearm, and decided to act out on this date, and with horrific consequences.
Horrific consequences indeed. Okay, so just for our viewers who may be logging on or tuning in right now, 5 shot at that military base. It sounds like the shooter has been caught. While the focus always should be on the victims, I do have to ask about that shooter. Now, what does the FBI do once they get that shooter? What happens to that person as they drill down on the motive?
Yeah, they're going to be, obviously, he'll be taken into custody, try and get an interview of him individually right away, find out what he has to say. Sometimes they're looking to talk right away, and they want to get a statement from him. But FBI agents, FBI analysts are scraping the internet as we speak, going to get his electronic devices, getting court authorized search warrants to search his electronics, look, what he's been searching online, who he's been corresponding with, see if there's anyone else who knew about what he was going to do, and go out and interview those people immediately as well. Interviewing his neighbors on the base, those in his unit, if it's someone who's active duty as well. A lot of people need to be interviewed. A lot of devices need to be scrubbed, but the FBI is putting the picture together as we speak.
Yeah, set your watch, because if my experience holds true, within the next couple of hours, you will see residences searched and computers brought out of homes, because like you say, they want to understand. People also trying to understand are at the White House right now. This is from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just now on social media, saying the president has been briefed on the shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia. The White House is monitoring this situation.